Hello, everyone. Today let's talk about how to create your own stories. First, let's listen before creation. There are 3 stories here. All are my own writing. The last one is a little long. The content of this video is actually quite a lot. There are a number of key points I will explain, and other hope that you can think more about it. I hope you can be able to find out for yourself. If you like this video, remember to subscribe.
Thank you.
First, I will talk about a short story. This story is called The Little Squirrel Looking for Acorns. There is a hard-working squirrel and non-stop looking for acorns. But there is nothing. So he went to the beach to look for the results of the beach to look for a long time, or did not find. The little squirrel is very hungry. He feels desperate. At this time, a whale swam over. The whale looked at the squirrel's tired face and said with concern, "Are you in trouble?" The squirrel carelessly replied, "Have you seen any acorns?" The whale was very confused and said, "Acorns? What's an acorn? Are they round?" The squirrel felt hopeful after hearing the whale's answer. So he immediately nodded and said, "Yes, acorns are round." The whale was very happy to hear this and said, "Is it round like a walrus's butt? If so, I know where it is. I am very familiar with walruses and can take you on a chase." The little squirrel also didn't know what the walrus's butt looked like. And although there was hesitation, he couldn't resist the temptation. So went down to the sea very happily, and it didn't take long before he drowned in the sea. Why do we have to talk about such a story? In fact, the core of this story lies in the cognition. Why did the little squirrel go down to the sea with the whale? Because it felt that the effect was the walrus's butt. He had no concept of the walrus, and the whale had no concept of the acorns. So the good intentions did a bad thing, and finally brewed a tragedy. There is a famous economist said that you can never make money beyond your perception unless by luck. What is the concept of no cognition? No cognition means ignorance. Ignorance is the source of all difficulties. It is the greatest enemy of mankind. Ignorance is very scary. Very, very scary. So we need to learn. We need to read. We need to continue to open up our horizons, so that we can move forward smoothly on the road of life. Imagine if you have complete knowledge of everything. Where is the difficulty? On the contrary, no one is perfect. No one is proficient in everything. So encountering difficulties is not a big deal. as long as you do not repeat the mistakes can be. In fact, the little squirrel looking for acorns also hides another fact. That is, people are easy to trust others when they are tired and desperate. In this story, the whale was acting out of good intentions. But what if the whale was a bad whale? In daily life, bad people are everywhere. And most of those who are deceived are people with needs. So when we make a decision, don't be blind. Don't be in a hurry. Decisions made in haste are often very problematic. Okay, let's talk about another story. This story is called Smith and the Donkey. There was a man named Smith who was walking down the road with a big bag of corn on his back. But there was a donkey behind him. Joshua was very confused when he saw this and asked, "Why are you carrying the corn on your own back? Why don't you just put it on the back of the donkey and let the donkey carry it for you? Isn't that what you have the donkey for?" Smith replied, "I would like to, but I can't. The bag of corn is very heavy and I can only carry it, but I can't lift it. And if I can't lift it, then I won't be able to put it on the donkey's back. So there's no way out. I have to carry it myself." Joshua then said, "You can't lift it. So how did you put it on your back?" Smith said, "I put the bag of corn on a high place, and then I carried it on my back. I did not need to lift the corn over my head to put it on my back. But I did need to lift it over my head to put it on the donkey's back, because the donkey is very tall." Joshua shook his head and said, "You can stand on a high place, and then you can put the bag of corn on the donkey's back easily, just like you put it on your own back. That's the same way." Smith realized his stupidity at this point and kept asking himself, "How come this method didn't occur to me before?" In fact, everyone's cognition is limited. You can't experience everything. If you don't find a reasonable method, your cognition will always be limited. On the contrary, only if you find the right method, your knowledge can be at a new level. So, what is the right cognitive method? In fact, different areas. The method varies, but no matter what kind of method, there is a very important point. That is, thinking. Today I'm talking about short stories. You may think they are very common. But first of all, these stories are written by myself. Writing stories is an ability to be very proud of. In addition, as long as you know how to persevere and keep accumulating, then you can create a lot of stories and you can write a book. Every story has a moral in it. And if you create enough stories, then it proves that you have mastered enough truths. You can write a book today. Of course. You can write another book tomorrow. You may fail today. But one day, you will definitely succeed. This is the value of creation. Another thing I need to share is that you are more likely to succeed when you start with easy and short story. Many people write books and spend a long time, but end up with no readers. It is easy to get discouraged and give up. And it also takes quite a bit of time to write a full-length novel. And it also requires you to have enough wealth to back it up. Not suit for everyone. Well, today I talked to you about cognition through 2 short stories. I hope it can help you. And also, if you like, remember to subscribe. Thank you. And our stories will continue. Just a rest. Okay, let's continue. This story is a little long. The beginning is a little sad. But the ending is perfect. Let's start. One day, it was raining heavily. Smith was rushing back home. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting for help. It turned out that, because of the heavy rain, the river surged. There is a woman named Emma trapped in the middle of the river on the rocks. The situation is very critical. Smith immediately acted. He should find some saving tools first. Fortunately, he found a square nearby, where a few long sticks stood. So immediately ran over. Smith, in a hurry, hastily grabbed the long stick. When started to run to Emma, suddenly, he vaguely have a feeling. He felt that the stick in his hands is not the longest. Smith did not think much about it. He did not change the stick, because the time was too hasty. Emma was still waiting for him to rescue. Emma is now standing in the middle of the river on a rock. Hair has been all wet. The body is wet. Smith hastily put the stick over. But unfortunately, the stick is short. Emma cannot reach. Smith will be leaning forward, so that Emma can catch the stick. But still very unfortunate. Just short of a cut. Emma is still not enough. Smith shouted, "You let the body lean forward, just like me, so you can catch the stick." Emma heard immediately lean forward. But because of the heavy rain, the rock is particularly slippery. Emma's center of gravity changed. The result was accidentally fell into the river. What? Smith looked at the turbulent river. Very panicked inside. But at this time, he has no way. Emma quickly disappeared from view. Smith stood alone in the rain. He was very guilty, feeling that everything is his own fault. If he was not too anxious, Take a slightly longer stick over. Emma can be saved. Why should I be in such a hurry? The more Smith thought about it, the more he was annoyed. Although Emma was trapped in the middle of the river, there was enough time for her to get out. So there was no need to be in a hurry at all. Smith blamed himself very much. He felt unable to forgive himself. He later went to the square, and then checked one by one the length of the stick. He hoped that the stick he took is the longest. If the stick is the longest, then Emma's death he do not have to take full responsibility, because no matter what, Emma will not be rescued. So that his feeling could be a little better. The results came out very quickly. It is very unfortunate. Smith found that not only were there sticks longer than the one he was holding, but there were several of them. Smith could no longer find any reason to forgive himself. He was lost. He even had the idea of death. Just at this time, a miracle happened. What miracle happened? God appeared. What did God appear for? It was specifically to comfort Smith. God comforted Smith. As long as your intentions are good, even if it did not turn out well. But it is not a sin. Just did not work out. No need to blame yourself. Smith at this time no matter forgive yourself. So no matter what God said, he is still very self-condemnation. God saw the situation, and said, Emma's past life lived in Sin City. She also encountered the same situation now. Also heavy rain. Also the same trap in the middle of the river on a rock. At that time, a lot of people stood on the opposite side. These people do not think of ways to find sticks like you, but to cheer. Not only cheered, but also cheered with great glee. They cheered with great glee and said, Jump, jump. Jump and you'll be relieved. Your soul will be freedom. Are they still human beings? Smith heard a very angry. God said, that is the Sin City. Compare with the people there, you are the kindest person. And although I am God, but I am the devil there. Smith's mood is still very pain. Emma is alive. A living life. And now lost because of his mistake. How can he escape responsibility? Everyone. If we need a perfect ending, what should we do? How to continue? If you are the writer, how should this story be written? It's actually quite simple. Let's continue. God saw that Smith was very sad, so he said, in fact, Emma is not only a murderer, but also trafficking in children. She has been wanted by the police for a long time. If you don't believe, you can go to ask the police yourself. Of course, Smith went to the police station and then described Emma's looks. The police quickly pulled out Emma's information. And sure enough, Emma and God described the same. Is a wanted criminal. Trafficking in children. Killed people. Is a murderer. Smith not only forgave himself, but was very glad that he had not succeeded in rescuing Emma. Otherwise he would have been an accomplice, and if Emma had been rescued, more children would have been harmed. Well, the story ends here. And the story has a perfect ending. How do you all feel after listening to this story? Why did I tell such a story? In fact, we will encounter a lot of things in life. Many things we will feel self-blame, guilt. You will certainly encounter such things in life. At this time, some people will feel guilty, self-blame, introspection. Some people do not take it seriously, and some people try to find a reason. Find what reason? Find a reason not to let their own guilt. Find a reason to excuse. So what should we actually do? Do not take it seriously. This is actually the most terrible result. Such a person, no matter how many things to experience, feel even lost the meaning of living. Give yourself a reason. Find an excuse. Find an excuse. It doesn't sound right either. But thinking about it the other way around, if living with guilt all the time is the best outcome, if you don't want to feel guilty, then you must need a reason. So what exactly should it be? As we can all think hard about this. Actually, there are many examples of cognition in life. The problem is not to create stories. The problem is, if you dare to try. If you try, it is actually a very simple thing. Just to create ignorance stories. You just need to find cases of ignorance. There are a lot of. Do not say you can't find them. The problem does not lie in the cases. Everyone knows. Everyone can search. Everyone can meet a lot. The problem is whether you have the concept. Concept is very important. Whether you have the idea about creating a story. The content of thinking today is less, because the thinking itself is a very big concept. Contains a lot of content. We'll talk about it later. Well, the content of this video is over. The important thing to re-emphasize: creating stories requires cognition. Cognition is the key. And thinking is even more important. Not only to think, but to learn to think in reverse. Important things we emphasize 3 times. Cognition. 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 Thinking. 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 Finally, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot. I have a dream last night. There was a butterfly dancing gracefully on a rainbow. I know that the lady I love will definitely appear today. That's you, Emma. You're the one. Emma, where you are going? She went after the rainbow. Who was the rainbow?